Hello. Welcome to Ahasa. In this tutorial, we will look into onboarding products into your Ahasa portal. Before we begin, make sure you have permission to onboard products into Ahasa. If you don't, speak to your administrator to get your product onboarding authorization. If you do, great, let's begin. Once you've logged into your Ahasa portal, click on the private catalog panel shown on your left menu. As it expands, click on Product Onboarding. So, let's look into the product onboarding details. The first page will be the general information that needs to be filled on your product. There are two ways to onboard a product to Ahasa. You can enable the option to onboard a product using an existing HELM repository. Or you can configure your product onboarding manually. For this tutorial, let's focus on onboarding a product through an existing HELM chart. If your product doesn't consist of a HELM chart, check out our video tutorial on how to onboard a product manually. First, enter the HELM repository folder name. This folder should contain the product you wish to onboard. Second, enter the HELM repository URL that links to the folder which you have entered. This will call the URL when publishing the product to the portal. If your HELM repository consists of multiple development branches, enter the branch name which needs to be accessed, so that it can be called when the product is published. And finally, enter the HELM version you are publishing. If onboarding your product is done through a private HELM repository, make sure you enable Yes. Once enabled, you will have to enter the repository username and password, so that Ahasa can authenticate the credentials with your private repository when publishing. For this scenario, let's take as no. Once the required HELM information is filled, click Save. Now let's fill the basic information of the product. Select the type of product you wish to onboard. An internal product would be onboarding a product within your internal domain. A third-party reference would be a product you wish to onboard through an external domain. Let's select internal product for now. Next, enter your product name within the product name field. Make sure the name of the product matches the name entered within the HELM repository. Your product logo can be added by clicking on the camera icon and selecting your product logo. Enter a description of the product to briefly describe the context of your product. If you do have any documents that describes more about the product, you can attach its link to the document link. Select the category which best highlights your product. The Tags field helps you enter multiple tags that will define certain unique information about the product. You can create multiple tags by clicking Enter after each tag. You can enter the name of your product vendor and the vendor's profile link in order to get more information on the product vendor. And finally, any other link to further describe the product can be entered in the support link. The next page will be relating to your product information. If your product contains an end-user license agreement, the link can be attached to the EULA field. A base URL, which would be the initial landing page of your product, can be entered in the base URL field. However, if you have selected your product type as third-party reference, the base URL field will change to host URL, since you will have to enter a URL of an external party. In order to validate if your product URL consists of a secure HTTP communication, you can select Yes or No to confirm. In reference to the product's resource requirement, you will have to enter the minimum CPU core, RAM, and disk requirements, so it would be easier to identify the resources needed when applying this product within different solutions. Once you've filled out all the required information, you can either save and exit, which will save your product as a draft. Or you can publish the product and it will be listed within your existing list of products. Once you've published the product, you will need to add a version for the product in order for it to be pushed to the active product catalog. Check out our video tutorial on version management to understand how we can create and manage versions for each product.